would you give to them about, maybe listening for the weak signals or opening up themselves?
I think one is that very easy thing that we can all do, which is pass it forward in some shape or form. So you and I, we're always at events and conferences, and so inviting next generations to come with and be part of that conversation. I often, actually, when I started setting up a couple of next generation boards, I had a commitment where any speaking engagement I would say, yes, I will come and speak. Yes, I'll do your webinar. Yes, I'll come and do your conference. And if I can invite one of the members of a next generation board to come with me. Right. And that was a big part of. And that was a brilliant moment, because those conferences were getting, and organisations were getting a far richer perspective on the dialogue on said topic. It challenged them in the process. They said, that's fantastic, I'm going to do this. So again, that notion of you're building that muscle, and it doesn't take much around sort of, shifting the needle. And it's interesting because we were talking about LinkedIn earlier. I saw somebody on a bit of a diatribe earlier this week to say, if I see another panel which is very singular and siloed, let's say, and already this year I've attended a webinar where there's been no thought going into the construct of that panel. So I think that's what are the platforms out there, and are we seeing diversity reflected in that? So I think there are easy ways in which we can do that. Also encouraging a conversation around, who do we have in the room? Again, you and I have both done board effectiveness reviews and looking at skills mapping on boards. That's a very powerful moment where we can think about, well, what do we need as we're looking to plan for next 10-year rotations? What is happening with the 10-year, just come off a 10-year ambition for the EY Foundation. So what are we going to need to look at differently? What are the types of roles and skill sets that we're going to need to have around the table? And those are hardcore, conversations that we have just had. So I would encourage, again, that kind of thinking to be introduced, because to your point, you're absolutely right. Certain generations have tended to think in their swim lanes for obvious reasons, because that's how things have been rewarded and constructed over the years. And specificity has also been rewarded and constructed. And it was David Epstein with his, that beautiful O'Donnell cover book on range, which looks at this much more creative tension between how we connect our specialisms into generalism. So this whole notion of breadth and depth, Rachel, I think is really interesting in terms of the perspective and value that it gives around the boardroom. So I think when recruiters also are looking at who they're attracting for boards roles, when organisations are looking at putting out the specs and briefs, are we taking a little bit more time to think about what is the shape of that board? What do we need potentially differently as we're looking to construct things differently? And bringing the voice of next generation, I think, should always be a yes, because I've rarely seen any case where it doesn't do anything other than add value immensely. And I have to say, as an aside, when I have conducted interviews, some of the most disarming questions have come from our next generation board members. Hands down, all tribute to them.